Are you Tony Stank?
Hello folks, we are back. I apologize for the lateness of this podcast. I have unfortunately been unwell, but it's all good. It's all good. We're back. So thank you again for your support. Thank you very much for bearing with me. Yeah, let's go. So before we get into the the actual step-by-step of the episode, I just want to say this episode was my the one I was most excited for, the one I was most looking forward to. I'm an absolute zombie lover. I love anything to do with zombies, films, most TV shows, apart from The Walking Dead, which is dirt. So yeah, I was really looking forward to this episode. First impressions, it was okay. It was all right. It was okay. I think there's been better episodes than What If. And I think it didn't ask like a what if question really, but it's fine. We'll get into it. But I hope you all enjoyed it. Again, let me know what you think on the on Twitter at DeliveryMCU. When I put a post about the next one, you can obviously discuss that one. But if you got any thoughts on this episode, if you got any thoughts on this this podcast, please feel free to let me know on Twitter. But let's go. Let's get into the nitty gritty of the episode. Let's do it. Okay, so as always, there is the opening credits. Now, the opening credits for me gives a lot of the story away, or it gives a lot of the surprises away. If you look at the names that comes up, you can tell who's going to be kicking about. So, they said like Evangeline Lilly was there, as obviously Hope Van Dyne. Paul Rudd is named in there as well. Paul Bettany, so obviously we knew Vision was going to be there, and a few the kind of others. I like it, but I feel like it kind of gives it away sometimes, which kind of sucks. But yes, that's kind of the way it goes. So we start off the episode the same way that Infinity War basically started with Bruce Banner or the Hulk being bifrosted down to the Sanctum Sanctorum. And he says it's that same thing. Thanos is coming. Crashes through. Thanos is coming. But this time there's no one there to actually meet him. So there's no Wong, there's no Doctor Strange. There is the Cloak of Levitation, though, who kind of overlooks him. And he, obviously, Ruffalo, Banner, makes his way out to the street and asks if he's too late, obviously thinking that Thanos may have wiped out the universe or completed the snap or whatever he thought Thanos was a way to do. Then in the street he meets Cull Obsidian and Ebony Maw, and as per in Infinity War, but actually later on in Infinity War as well, he has a couple of lines that are similar to that, where he tries to call on Hulk, but Hulk is is having absolutely none of it. So it's essentially, yeah, it's just Banner against Cull Obsidian and Ebony Maw. Again, in Infinity War, when this happens, as you'll probably remember, there is Doctor Strange, there is Wong, and there is Tony Stark as well. So there's like all of them that are there to do it, but obviously it's just Banner this time. Ebony Maw starts his old speech about dying at the hands of children of Thanos, but then one of the portals comes up from behind him, and you see Iron Man's hand come out and blast him, obviously killing Ebony Maw. And we see our Avengers, our Wong, Strange, and Tony Stark emerge from the portal, still obviously shrouded in a bit of mist, a bit of fog. So you can really see their silhouettes more than anything, and there's something a wee bit off about them. If you have a look, they are a wee bit more haggard than they normally are. But they make their way out, and Banner is absolutely chuffed. He's so happy. These are all screwed, he says. And then we have this battle between Club Obsidian and Ebony Maw, trying to obviously fight off the three Avengers, or kind of Avengers that we know. Again, shrouded in this mist, using the lighting of the magic from Wong and Strange, and the blasts of Tony's repulsors. Again, we spoke about this quite a few times, and the lighting, the animation techniques that the creators used are phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal. They focus on a lot more on the more natural lighting, as opposed to focusing on lighting everything up as so you can see everything, which I think it's quite a ballsy move. But it adds so much to an already astonishing looking animation. Great design from them to do that. So yes, during the battle, this fight, we see them getting a bit sort of, there's bones crunching and flesh ripping. It sounds all horrible. Now, obviously, we know, or we kind of guess from here what's happening. You know, the episode is about zombies. And Banner says that it seems sort of like overkill. Once he says that, Tony stands up and looks over at him and reveals this decaying, bloodied, it was actually got a green colored skin, lips totally taken off, jaws hanging by the tendons, yellow eyes, and he growls at Banner, who obviously poops himself. Then obviously Strange and Wong stand up, and Wong is actually eating Club Obsidian's hand. So again, it's kind of a little reference to Infinity War, because Wong cuts off Club Obsidian's hand with a portal in that park where Tony and Pepper were chatting. And this is obviously the same hand that he's now chomping on. It's a great reveal. I like it. I do like the reveal of the zombies like this. We also, as I said, we were aware that it's based on zombies, and we're aware that that's the thing. I was surprised that they could still use their powers, so their magic, and also obviously Tony's armor and stuff as well. I thought it was quite a surprising move, although I believe that in the comics, because there was actually a zombies comic, it's a very similar sort of thing. It just affects that they essentially had a bloodlust and wanted to eat human skin and blood and people's but yeah, I thought it was quite a ballsy move. And again, it's that threat, isn't it? If they were just shambling zombies, then they're basically just zombies wearing our hero's clothing, our hero's armor. But it's actually a threat now that they're able to still use their powers and things like that as well. Again, it's one of those things where it's like, don't take it too seriously, I suppose. So yes, so the three of them start to head towards Banner, and the cloak of levitation intervenes and manages to subdue Tony, Club Obsidian, who is now a zombie, Maw as well, and Bruce is kind of cornered by Wong, using his portal. And again, a really cool thing to do here is they have Wong in the portal trying to get Bruce, so he's like snapping, but he can't get close to him. And then we see from behind Bruce, the cloak of levitation is holding Wong with one part of its cloth, its fabric, and is holding on to Strange with the other. The portal closes, and Wong's head is then chopped off. Ebony Maw uses his magic and pulls Banner back towards him, and essentially holds him up, and that's when they start to shamble towards him. And we have a massive flock of locusts, or what we don't know what it is, but it's ants basically. A massive thing of ants that actually disgustingly eats them down to their bones. It's like obviously flesh eating ants. It's pretty fucking horrible. And then we have our Hope Van Dyne. We Hope, who shoots off Iron Man's head, and one of the ants then eats it. Yum. It's all throughout this this series. Whenever there's been like a really violent kind of fighting or whatever, it's been against either aliens or something, or things that aren't human. This is probably the closest we get to what would be, I don't know if they would like rate it like, what's it, R or 18 or 15 if it was actually humans, but this is the closest we have to human on human gore, or character on character gore, because it is still zombies essentially at the end of the day, but it's pretty gory for what we kind of have been used to, which is again another ballsy move. It's one of the it's one of the braver episodes that again is kind of really out there. So yeah. Yeah, so Banner doesn't know who Hope is. Or sorry, the Wasp, Hope Van Dyne. Doesn't know who she is, so asks who she is, and she tells him all that's left. Obviously, I kind of play on words with Hope as well. Then we have our probably biggest surprise, I would say, of the thing. I didn't expect Spider-Man to be in this at all. But yeah, he swoops down, swings down, and catches our boy Brucey Banner, who is terrified. Now, obviously, Tom Holland isn't back for Spider-Man, but he sounds really like it sounds pretty much like Tom Holland, but not. It's not someone doing an impression of Tom Holland. It sounds like someone doing a Tom Holland Peter Parker, if that makes sense. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a pretty good performance, and we'll see later on kind of where his voice acting has came back. Now, obviously, we know Bruce Banner is played by Mark Ruffalo. He is back. I think there's only a couple of folk. We'll get into it. There's a couple of folk who are back, and I think there's maybe one that is. Is that right? Doesn't matter. So yes. So Spider-Man. Obviously, Bruce doesn't know who Spider-Man is. He wasn't at Civil War. He was with Thor on Sakaar during all this shenanigans. So he tells him that Spider-Man tells Bruce that he is the friendly neighborhood Spider-Man, and Bruce asks, "Well, what happened to the neighborhood?" Which is a very good question. Very good question. Then we see our boy, the Watcher, the Watchman, Mr. Rolex. Get it? Because of watch. Brilliant. We see his like his actual face. Again, we spoke about how he's getting closer and closer to us as the episodes go on. He's becoming more and more visible to us, and we see a lot more of his features. He's essentially right on top of us, looking down. We see his mouth move. We see his humanistic features, and he tells us that this all happened basically. Started out of love and hope is what he says. And tells us that what happened was Hank Pym went through into the quantum realm to save Janet Van Dyne, and unfortunately Janet's brain had been corrupted by a quantum virus. Again, the quantum realm looks stunning, even in animation form. The quantum realm is going to be a big part, I think, of the next phase. Obviously, we have Ant-Man Quantumania, which is going to be starring, or it's going to have John Majors. John Majors, is that his name? The boy that plays Kang. It's going to have Kang, or as far as we know, it might have a variant of Kang in it. So we know that the quantum realm is going to be an important part going forward. Does this tie into that? I'm not quite sure. I don't know how much of these episodes are going to actually tie into the real life shows and the real life films. But I mean, we'll kind of see what happens. But anyway, it looks fantastic. The quantum realm looks incredible. We see Janet Van Dyne or Hank go to see his wife, who he feels like he's found for, you know, who he's been searching for so many years. But she jumps on him and obviously turns him into a zombie. They're then able to get back to Hope and Scott in San Francisco. And obviously Hope is looking for a reunion with her mum that she hasn't seen for so many years. Hope again is Evangeline Lillet's back, as we spoke about at the start. And unfortunately it didn't go too well. And door opens, Hank comes flying out, but Hope manages to shrink down to ant size, and we see Scott's hand coming down the window like a horror trope. And obviously, yeah, you know, we're seeing, we understand that Scott is now a zombie or has been eaten by Hank and Janet. The Watchman tells us that within 24 hours, the entire Pacific Northwest was infected. We see the Avengers Quinjet come down onto the Golden Gate Bridge, where there is a massive amount of zombies. And out come our Avengers, all in human form at this point. Hawkeye, Black Widow, Captain America, Iron Man, and we have Black Panther. Now that's a really cool lineup. It's obviously a lineup that we've not had. You know, Black Panther was kind of against Captain America during Civil War because he obviously sided with Bucky. And then Hawkeye and Black Widow were kind of against each other as well, or they were kind of on different sides, I suppose. And a few things kind of happened since then. But yeah, so it's not a lineup we've seen before, but it's a very interesting lineup for me. Yeah, that'll be quite fun to see a lot more of them. But again, you'll see, we don't see much more of them. So they're then kind of easily subdued by all these zombies. First of all, Hank Pym as little as little mini zombie chomps on Captain America and then grows in size and obviously overthrows him, and then Iron Man's down, Hawkeye's down, Black Widow's down, and we see Black Panther getting overrun by all these zombies and stuff as well. So yeah. They're done for. They're donezo. The Watcher then talks about our Avengers and how if they'd known the rules they might have gone a bit better, and we move on to a really cool homemade so you want to survive the zombie apocalypse video made by Spider-Man. This now obviously kind of goes back to, you know, how Peter was kind of making like amateur kind of videos during like obviously Homecoming and during Far From Home. So it kind of calls back to that, where he's obviously got his own camcorder or his own video recorder, and he makes up a video with the rules how to survive the zombie apocalypse. It's I like the way it's kind of like a Spider-Man meets Zombieland sort of thing. The whole Zombieland rules thing kind of comes into it, which is really cool. It's a really interesting way of doing it. We have rules like the he has Happy dressed up to help him out, and he also has I think it's Kurt from Ant-Man, the guy from like Eastern Europe. But yeah, we see Happy Hogan, which is voiced by Jon Favreau. Skills include driving, coffee, and boxing, relating to obviously him having boxed Black Widow before in Iron Man 2. With first rule, long sleeves. So obviously if you get bit, it's through saliva. and if you have long sleeves, then obviously it's harder for them to bite through you. But yeah, then we see Kurt. So his skills are languages, Slavic folklore, and crime. Yes, the zombie virus is passed through saliva, so the less skin that's showing, it's the less there is to bite. The second rule, step 2, is hygiene. Zombies are attracted to the smell of human flesh, so we get this shot of Peter and Kurt in a bathroom, in a shower. Pull back the shower curtain to reveal our very own Bucky with his black arm from that he's received in Wakanda. Wakanda. I think I said that silly. Wakanda, not Wakanda. I'm not American. Wakanda. Sorry. Is it Wakanda or Wakanda? Let me know how you say it. Wakanda, isn't it? Yeah. Right, okay. Anyway, so he has been Winter Soldier. He's obviously been cured of his brainwash, and he's been in Wakanda and has been sorted with his black metal arm. The arm that in Captain America Falcon Winter Soldier, the Wakandans are able to remove from his body. So yeah, his skills: murder, killer arm, and heavy sleeper. And he manages to grab a hold of Kurt and says that all I have to do is squeeze. And then we see our very own Sharon Carter, who is voiced by Emily Van Camp. Her skills are spycraft, first aid, and eulogies. Now, last time we saw Sharon Carter again was in Falcon and the Winter Soldier, where she is revealed to be the main bad person. Yeah. So now this one, she obviously hasn't gone. She hasn't gone that way. She is because the snap hasn't happened. That was what drove her into like underground black market kind of shenanigans. She doesn't have it this time, so she is still our spy. So next rule is aim for the head, and Spider-Man shoots a wee sticky arrow thing right at her head, and then we move on. Okoye turns up and tells Peter to stop messing about, essentially, and Peter tells her that he was showing Banner the orientation video. Which is great, the fact that they have an orientation video for a zombie apocalypse. And for me, you know, being a zombie film and zombie film and TV show lover, one thing that so annoys me, and one thing that always gets at me, is that when people don't know the rules. Like, there's so much zombie things going about, like, you know the rules by now. It's just, anyway. that is just a small thing that annoys me, but obviously now in this one, in this episode, they're aware of what they need to do and how they need to stay safe from the zombie apocalypse. Okay, so yes, Okoye comes in and interrupts the session they were having with the zombie rules, and tells Mr. Banner, Dr. Banner, that she was looking for T'Challa, who obviously we saw at the Golden Gate Bridge, with Iron Man, Captain America, Hawkeye, and Black Widow. She's still obviously looking for him. As far as we know, though, they're all zombies, they're all dead. But yeah, Okoye, that is what she, that's the oath that she's chosen, is to always look after her king. So yeah. We then get to see the sort of base that these guys are hiding in. It's like Spider-Man has webbed like a bus, subway cars, etc., all up between buildings, which is pretty genius. They obviously then have the height where pretty much nobody can get them. They then have this kind of like not a beacon, but a message, which Bruce tells them is like non-linear hexacode, so they're able to establish exactly where the message is coming from. and we're told that it's Camp Lehigh. So that is actually where Captain America started his training when he first in the first Avenger, basically. It's also where Tony stole the Tesseract from when he met his dad in Endgame, and also is where Cap and Black Widow found Arnim Zola's AI in the second one, the Winter Soldier. I keep forgetting. So yes, so they're heading to Camp Lehigh, basically. Happy is the one that drives them to Grand Central Station, which is the sort of biggest train station and most iconic thing in New York City. Grand Central is has been in a few movies as well before. You'll probably know it from like I Am Legend. It is in there, and yeah, there's this really cool shot of so Happy is obviously driving the van with all of them in it. He's got on his repulsor, Iron Man's hand blaster thing that he had in the Winter Soldier, which came from like the watchy thing. And there's a jump scare, a really annoying, scary jump scare, which is a big zombie's face blasting down on the windscreen. Now, first of all, I was like, "Oh my god, is this Hank Pym as Giant Man, or is this Scott Lang as Giant Man?" No, we find out that it's actually the van is small, which makes sense. It's a good way to travel if you're trying to get through zombies and all these bits and pieces, because then nobody can see you. So Happy not explodes car, makes it big again, and the zombie like explodes into heaps of pieces. But again, the blood is or what would be the blood is like black, so we don't actually see it as like blood. But yes, they get to Grand Central. The plan is that they're also trying to get to New Jersey. So they're wanting to use a train to get there because that's where Camp Lehigh is. And they have a little chat about what the plan is. Okoye decides that they're gonna split up, but obviously Peter, who we know kind of knows about zombies or knows about kind of horror movies and stuff, he decides, or he says, is that really the right thing to do? Again, this is something that that normally annoys me in films, TV shows where characters split up and you're like, well, someone's gonna die now. But Peter obviously is quite meta. He's aware of this and he's aware of like the fact that that splitting up is sometimes or is mainly leading to the doom of one of somebody or something. So Kurt Banner, Hope try to jumpstart the train. We'll have Bucky and Okoye just in Grand Central kind of holding the fort a little bit, and we see in the shadows of the big windows at the front of Grand Central, we see the shadows a figure, a silhouette that we all know is Falcon, zombie Falcon. Like that to me is probably one of the most scariest things that you could have as a flying zombie. But yeah, so they find that to get the train working again, they need to get like a jump start basically. Where obviously they're not don't know how to do that, but then obviously Spider-Man gets an idea and decides to do kind of like the reverse of the Spider-Man 2 thing. The obviously Spider-Man 2 famous scene is when he stops the train by using webs out either side and holding it back and it's getting crushed. He manages to stop it. Essentially doing the complete opposite of it here. He shoots his webs at the train and then pulls it and makes a giant kind of slingshot to get them started. Happy and Sharon are down in a station. I'm not sure what station that, but a bunch of bats come flying out, and Happy uses the blaster, the repulsor. It says blam after every shot, blam 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 blam, which Sharon calls him out for, which is which is understandable. He then gets Happy then gets dragged back into the darkness, and keeps shooting and shouting blam, and yeah, we're then told that Happy, or Sharon tells others that Happy is lost, and Peter is understandably kind of shaken from it, but yeah, he's halfway through trying to slingshot this thing, the train. An arrow comes out then and fires Sharon into the wall behind. Again, you know, this is where we first understood now who this one is. It's obviously Hawkeye, that is in the shadows there. And it's quite fast paced, this sort of bit of action here, because then we then go up to the entrance to Grand Central and find Okoye and Bucky, and they are then faced with the Falcon. Back down to the station, and Happy is back out the shadows with his repulsor, and he's still saying blam 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 as a even as a zombie. If you're if you're ever in sort of like if you know about zombie lore, it's normally the thing that you were like thinking about, or like your instincts are sometimes what draws you as a zombie. Like in Dawn of the Dead, the original Dawn of the Dead, people were drawn back to the mall because it was like a slight on consumerism and things like that. So obviously Happy was just thinking blam, and then was turned and continues to to give us his sound effects basically. Back up the stairs, and Okoye manages to jump onto Falcon and kind of is fighting with him in midair as Bucky doesn't want to take the shot. Happy keeps blamming towards Sharon Carter but missing, and Okoye has to jump off Falcon to before she gets smashed against a bridgey kind of thing. Sharon grabs for a gun, doesn't get it. Happy blams the gun, and we see basically Sharon is a way to get blammed by Happy. Bucky is a way to get killed by Falcon, but of course they both manage to get out with the nick of time. Sharon turns the blam blaster, the blam blaster into Happy's face, and obviously kills him. And we still see Hawkeye and a group of zombies come towards Sharon, and Okoye manages to split Falcon in half, right at Bucky's face as well. Down at the train, Spider-Man is almost at the point of the slingshot, and we see some zombies behind him, but the cloak of levitation does manage to just get there again in the nick of time to save him. And yeah, luckily we get Bucky, Okoye, and Sharon Carter coming down the stairs, but Sharon now has the blam blaster on her hand, and they all manage to finally get into the train and yeah, get shot off. So they've managed to make their escape basically, including Peter being saved by the cloak of levitation, and a heap of zombies being run over. Okay, so it looks like the guys are kind of safe. Peter is wearing the cloak of levitation, and Hope tells him that it suits him and he'll grow into it. And the Okoye actually apologizes to Peter, saying that we should have stayed together. So it just goes to show that if you know the rules, then you're all good. And I know the rules. So if there's ever a zombie apocalypse, guys, you know where I am. I'll keep you right. Don't worry. They go through this tunnel on the way out to New Jersey. and there's like a thud on the roof, and something comes down into the carriage, um, and we see our first look of Mr. Zombie, Captain Carter. Captain Carter? No, Captain America. Not Captain Carter, because Captain Carter is in another universe. I apologize. We see zombie Captain America. Sharon screams, and Bucky comes running, and we see Cap has actually killed Sharon. Now there's a phenomenal shot here with the shield when Bucky says you've had enough, and Cap stands up. There's a incredible shot with the shield that looks so real. It's kind of like the shot of the shield that we see in Falcon and the Winter Soldier, where it's like kind of beaten up a little bit, but the light, there's like one streak of light that comes shine on it, and the rest of it's shrouded in black. But it just looks absolutely chef's kiss. And then we get a look of a shot of Cap's face, and like Iron Man's earlier on, hanging on by tendons, teeth all yellow, and decayed. Yeah, it is beautiful. And again, the lighting, the natural lighting. They're in a tunnel, so the lights are basically the lighting on the tunnel that's coming in through the open door at the back, and the kind of fluorescent lights from the other carriages. And then we get the Cap roar, which we saw in the promo videos for this episode. And yeah, it's just so well lit. It's unbelievable. And again, I've spoke about the lighting, I spoke about animation in like so much over the last episodes, and it just blows my mind every time I see it. It's one of the best looking scenes in the MCU. Never mind in What If. In the MCU, it's one of the best looking scenes in my eyes, for my money. Yeah, just brilliant. So there's then this fight with Bucky and Cap. Again, the fighting animations, we saw it in Cap Carter. We saw it in Doctor Strange, like the What Ifs. It's just brilliant. That for me is the crowning glory of the What If. So What If has thrown up some great questions for us. It's thrown up some great bits and pieces of story, which have been phenomenal to watch. But for me, the absolute crowning glory they've had is the fight scenes and the lighting. And normally both go hand in hand. It's just brilliant, absolutely brilliant, and I could watch the fight scenes over and over again. So yeah, Bucky and Cap fight it out. There's actually a point where Bucky throws a left hand at Cap, and basically he catches his jaw with a left hand, and you actually, if you slow it down or watch it in kind of frame by frame, you can see Cap's jaw bulge, like, and actually like detach. It's excellent. It's so good. Then obviously, well, Sharon is back as a zombie. Tries to bite Hope, who actually goes down to ant size, goes inside her, and goes, yeah. Cap throws the shield at Bucky, who catches it and then lobs it straight back, and actually cuts Cap in half, and he goes flying out. Now, this is obviously very similar to the scene in the Winter Soldier, when Bucky, as the Winter Soldier, not the Bucky Barnes that we know, catches Cap's shield and lobs it back. This time, obviously, cuts him in half, and he goes flying out the train. And he tells him it's the end of the line. Now, that is obviously a reference to something that's been ongoing throughout their relationship. Is like in the first Avenger, he spoke about how Bucky will be with Steve to the end of the line. In the Winter Soldier, Steve says that he'll be with him to the end of the line at the big final final battle that ends Captain America: The Winter Soldier. So it's obviously a kind of poignant moment. And then Bucky keeps the shield, puts it on his back. And yeah, then we have then Hope blasts out of Sharon and says she's covered in Sharon. So we then get the realization that Hope actually has a cut on her arm, and has also been inside Sharon. That means that she is now infected. Another phenomenal shot after this of the train going past and the watcher actually just watching it kind of go. Again, just beautiful, absolutely beautiful. That's one of if you've not watched the show, or if if you're not sure what to take from the show, like just this almost cinematography of it and the animation is just brilliant. So they kind of keep an eye on Hope, and essentially she's kind of dying and stuff. Peter then talks about how it's not a risk to try and get the cure. It's Hope, and Hope actually asks him, like, how can you still be so positive? And he tells her, he tells her that that's how he's been through so much. The only thing he can be is upbeat. We actually get the first mention of Uncle Ben in the MCU. So Uncle Ben has been hinted about in the briefcase that Peter has, said, I think it was Ep5 Ben something Parker, but this is the actual first reference I've had of Uncle Ben. Such a shame. Again, I talked about how the voice acting of this Peter Parker obviously wasn't Tom Holland, but this is where he starts to come into it. The emotion in his voice, the emotional voice acting that he has here, as well as kind of later on. Because at the end of the day, Peter Parker is just a kid. But yeah, the guy that voiced him has done a really good job here. Really, really good job here. Kurt tells him there's an issue with the train, that you're gonna have to now walk, but they're very close to Camp Lehigh, but they have to walk through this massive group of zombies that they see out the window. Yeah, so it's not looking good for them, basically. Hope decides to sacrifice herself, becoming Giant Hope. Big Hope. It's Giant Man, isn't it? So Giant Woman. She becomes Giant Woman and actually carries them across over the zombies in her hands. Zombies are crawling up her, and essentially biting at her and stuff like that. She manages to get the guys on over into Camp Lehigh, but then succumbs to the virus and the zombies and stuff that are crawling on her and smashing, biting into her, smashing her helmet and getting into her, and eventually collapses. So there's a bit of forlorn from our heroes. And they ask, they're sort of struck by the fact that the zombies aren't climbing the fence or coming into Camp Lehigh. They don't actually even need to climb. There's actually a bit of fences down that they're not going any further in. And Kurt talks to us about Baba Yaga. Now, he's spoken about Baba Yaga before. He has mentioned Baba Yaga in Ant-Man and the Wasp. We're talking about Ghost. And he says he can feel Baba Yaga. Now, Baba Yaga is essentially like a Eastern European word for things like witch, or something supernatural, basically. Yeah. So this is kind of like a foreshadowing, which we will see in a wee second. Then we see what should be a surprise, but what isn't a surprise because we know from the opening credits, we see Vision, Paul Bettany as Vision. and he scares both Spider-Man and Kurt. And of course, Bruce Banner sees a familiar face, someone that he's not, uh, one of the few people that he actually already knows, and he gives him a nice hug. Although obviously Vision doesn't really have feelings as such. Well, he does have feelings for one person, but doesn't have feelings as such. He's more logical. Vision then tells us about how he's managed to keep the zombies at bay, and it's by using the Mind Stone. So it emits some sort of frequency, um, that it says overloads the brain's limbic system. So Vision has been using that to keep them away, essentially. He was actually able. He tells us, well, he was able to reverse a zombification, and that was of Mr. Scott Lang, Paul Rudd, who we see as like a Futurama head. If you ever seen Futurama, they had celebrities encased in like glass jars of fluid, so that they could live on in some way or another. And yeah, he's done the same thing for Scott Lang here. So Kurt, Bucky, and Peter have these sort of visceral reactions to it. And Scott cracks a couple of dad jokes saying about how he's lost weight. Don't worry, when I get to my head. And he says he processes traumatic events with dad jokes, but then has a little moment to think about it, unfortunately. Yeah, it's quite weird. This is a okay. I'm saying weird in a zombie episode, but this is quite a strange quite a strange thing to happen, because I don't understand how. I don't know if it's because he's been zombified that he's able to keep him like this, or what. He does say he's cured him, but then what I don't understand is how he's cured him to the point of being a detached head is able to still live on as like a human stuff. I could understand if it was like if he was still a zombie head, or was still kind of zombified but maybe had human could like speak and we had human traits and stuff, but a full-on human head, I don't understand. I don't get it. I'm not quite sure. If you know, please let me know in the comments of either YouTube video or when I put out the tweet, and let me know what you think, how he's able to do that. But that's one of the parts that I'm confused about. Again, I know it's a zombie thing, and I shouldn't be thinking too much into it, but so it is. So it is. We then have Bucky go for a wee walk, have a quick look around the base and see if there's something, if there's something they can use to their advantage. And he comes across almost like a theater, an operating theater kind of thing, and hears a voice, goes back through curtains and finds T'Challa lying on like an operating table. Unfortunately, though, he has actually lost a leg. T'Challa then tells him that essentially it's Vision. And as they try to get out, we see what is our first little look of Baba Yaga. Baba Yaga with a red glow from her like silhouette kind of thing, which obviously as we come to find out, and which you may have kind of already worked out, is actually a zombified version of Scarlet Witch, who must be like one of the strongest characters. Already is one of the strongest Avengers, but like someone who's hell-bent on just one thing, and that's eating flesh, eating humans. Must be one of the scariest and most powerful beings in the whole universe, basically. Yeah, so T'Challa tells the others that this is now a trap. Okoye is obviously happy but scared to see her king in this sort of way. But he tells her that that he basically took T'Challa from San Francisco as food for zombie Scarlet Witch. Okay, so this is quite an interesting part because the Vision talks about how although what he's done sounds bad, he feels it was done logically. Yeah, which I don't quite get. He talks about how he tried to cure her, but her powers are too strong. I wonder if it's to do with the fact that he basically, as he says, he tries to contain her and her hunger. So I wonder if this is maybe for the greater good. I don't know. Again, if is it actually logical, or is it just more of is it more him thinking it's logical because of obviously his love for Wanda, whereas he could have easily just killed her, you know, as opposed to stealing people to feed her while he tries to sort her out. But yeah, I think Okoye does actually throw out a question. He does say that he couldn't kill her essentially, which he feels kind of guilty about. I suppose he feels pretty. You can tell that he's not he's kind of conflicted in his emotions, even though he said he has none. And then he tells Okoye, you have awakened, or he tells the group, you have awakened her. Obviously, meaning the Baba Yaga, and she hasn't eaten in days. This is where Kurt is met by this shining red light and this illuminated silhouette of the Baba Yaga. Again, the lighting down the corridor, the shadows that come off her, the red light that engulfs her. It is literally like something lifted out of a horror film. It's phenomenal framing down the corridor. You can just see her kind of contorted silhouette. And then she pulls Kurt in and obviously consumes her. It's Scott with probably the most out of place joke where he says, "Watch out, she's a man eater." And then we get to see her. We get to see Scarlet Witch in her full Baba Yaga glory. And again, the animation is absolutely spot on, absolutely on point. Bucky knocks Scott's head, and the cloak of levitation joins onto him, becomes him. So he becomes like, I don't know, what does he come? Levitating Lang? Levitating Lang? Yeah, let's go out. Levitating Lang. They obviously try and fight her, try and get her to get her subdued. Spider-Man shoots his webs at her. Koye throws a spear, but nothing can kind of hold her. So Vision gets them out of the actual out of the base. Okoye is pulled back in by Scarlet Witch's magic. And tells T'Challa Wakanda forever. Vision then implodes the base that Scarlet Witch is in, and obviously trying to hold her back. Tells the folks that there's a quad jet in the hangar and that he must atone for what he's done. So he's basically there to well, he actually sacrificed himself. Now again, I don't understand why he's done this before the gang, before the people have managed to get away. He rips the Mind Stone out of his head, and basically his eyes go white, his skin goes, or his body goes grey, like it did in Infinity War when Thanos ripped the Mind Stone out of his head. Why wouldn't you hold off and wait until everyone's in the quad jet and are away and then do it? You know, why? At least hold Wanda off. I don't know. I think it's a bit, for someone who might be logical, I think it's a bit of a silly move. But again, we're talking hypotheticals here. That's just something I would have done, and I'm, yeah. he removes the Mind Stone, and that means that the zombies can then come into the camp. There's nothing holding them back, so the guys rush to get out. And basically, Bruce grabs the Mind Stone, because obviously using the frequencies, there might be a way to cure it. Scarlet Witch, zombie Scarlet Witch, Baba Yaga gets out of the imploded military base thing, and is enshrouded by these rocks coming by. Bucky then stays back to sacrifice himself, or he tells the other guys to run to the quadjet. But Baba Yaga Scarlet Witch has a visceral reaction to Vision's dead body, as she does on in Infinity War stuff. T'Challa, Spider-Man, Bruce, and Scott Lang, Levitating Lang, get to the quadjet. But Baba Yaga sees them and starts to go after them. She bites Bruce on the arm, but his arm goes all green, like hulky. So basically, his whole left side essentially goes all hulky. And he Hulk or Banner, well, Hulk Banner, throws her back, and she goes absolutely flying. So does that mean to us that Hulk is impenetrable to the zombie bites? Is he able to be turned into a zombie? Possibly not then. So basically, yeah, Bruce decides to stay behind to kind of keep everyone held off, gives the Mind Stone to Peter Parker, and yeah, decides to go all proper Hulk smash. Yeah, and there's the start of this battle between Hulk and Scarlet Witch and the zombies. As the other guys manage to just get out of the hangar in time, basically. We don't get to see much more of the battle between Scarlet Witch and Hulk. It's kind of just the start of it. We see a little bit of they kind of run together, and before there's actually any real things, we see it goes back to the quadjet, which flies off. We see a little bit of fighting between them, but not too much, and the other three manage to fly off. Hope then stands up, obviously his zombie giant Hope, then stands up and grabs a hold of the quadjet. T'Challa puts on the boosters, gets out, and Hope, in zombie rage, zombie anger, zombie frustration, lobs a dead body at them. Lobs a zombie at them, which is technically undead. And Scott is obviously shaken by seeing his love. As a big old giant zombie. We then get a discussion around the Mind Stone and how they're potentially going to cure or do something to hopefully sort out the world again. But Spider-Man obviously talks about how he's lost a lot in less than a year, or in about a year, since he joined the Avengers, and how much people he's lost. But then T'Challa uses the old, in his culture, death is not the end, which is something that he said to his dad when he died in Civil War. So that was nice, and obviously nice and heartwarming and stuff like that. But then Watcher tells us that in the end, humans will give it all to save our planet, even if it means the end of the universe. And we go to Wakanda with Thanos inside Wakanda, zombie Thanos inside Wakanda with his zombie army, his gauntlet with 5 of the 6 Infinity Stones. I mean, what? What? Oh man, it's a crazy ending. But yes, that is the end of the episode of What If. Now, as I said at the start of the episode, this episode to me was good. It was good. I'm a sucker for zombie stuff. It wasn't great. it was good, not great in my eyes. I feel like there's been stronger episodes. I feel like it was a very interesting episode. It was I was speaking to F5 Jamie actually afterwards, and he put it right. He said it was more like a what the fuck, or was I think he said it in Twitter. I can't remember where he said it, but yeah. Anyway, it was more what the fuck than what if. Although, as I said before, I in lead up to doing the podcast, I'll watch it twice, and I'll watch the new Rockstars breakdown as well because they're always so great. And one of the things Eric Voss said in there was he'd be very interested to see like a second part, because we have like the Guardians of the Galaxy, we don't know what's happened with them. Thor as well, we don't know what's happened with him. So it would be interesting to see a second part of it. And Hulk as well. Obviously, we know that Hulk pretty much can't be bitten by zombies, and he's still down there. How did he get on against Wanda, or sorry, Baba Yaga? Yeah, but yes, I thought it was good, not great. I think I wouldn't say it's one of the weakest episodes. I would say it's top 3 of What If. I mean, last week's episode was the best one, the Doctor Strange one. But yeah, we'll I don't want to feel like I'm on a downer right now, but I do think there could have been more they could have done with it, and maybe if they do a part 2, then that will be it'll be not sorted, but it'll be something that they can potentially explore further. But again, we'll just kind of need to see what happens. But yes, again, I spoke about the fight scenes, the way it's made is incredible, and it I think is one of those things that that always will be incredible, and it's something I've taken from the series. But yeah, I still think last week was better. I love that they're doing different things. I love they're trying different episodes. They're trying different genres essentially as well. We spoke about how obviously the first episode with Captain Carter, that was kind of like that was kind of like the truest What If for me, in that it was quite or the first two actually, sorry, Captain Carter and the Star-Lord one, they were quite parallel, or you could see the differences to the actual story that we know, which I thought was what all these episodes would be like. Obviously that's not the case. Then we had episode 3, which was like a murder mystery. We then had episode 4, which was Doctor Strange, and that was totally just messed up, like dealing with time loops, etc. Obviously we'll have this one, which is like a horror-y zombie kind of thing. The next episode we have, it's the one, it's to do with I think it's gonna be what if Killmonger saved Iron Man, or saved Tony Stark, sorry. So yeah, I'm intrigued to see where that goes. In the promo video for it, there is like clips of them in Wakanda and Killmonger on a rhino again. Does it lead to a Wakandan war? Wakandan civil war? I don't really know. I'm not really 100% sure, but we'll kind of see what happens with that one. But yeah, it was good. It was good. I do still think so. I think so far it's gone in terms of from best to worst. We've had Doctor Strange is the best one. The Star-Lord one was the second best one for me. Then I think it's this. Then it's the murder mystery one, and then the Captain Carter one. That's just my opinion so far, but we'll see if any of the last 4 episodes, because only 4 episodes left, we're over halfway. We'll see if any of those can do anything any better. But yeah, that was it. So guys, as I say, let me know if you have any feedback, if you have any notes, if you have any thoughts about the episodes on Twitter at DeliveryMCU. Again, after the next episode, I'll put out a tweet saying that it's been done, so the tweet will go out on Wednesday night. comment on that, and we'll get your thoughts on the episode. We'll get them on the podcast, like we're about to do right now. Okay, so going to Twitter. First of all, we had Mr. Celtic Bulls at Bulls Celtic. He said, "Watch out, she's a man eater. Paul Rudd is hilarious in all forms of media. Did I miss it, or did Tom Holland not voice Peter / Spider-Man?" So yeah, we've spoken. Yeah, it's not Tom Holland. It's someone that sounds quite like him. But yeah. At F Sake Jamie said, "In my opinion, the weakest episode so far is a brilliant series. That said, after Powerhouse episode last week, it was nice to get a bit more schlocky with what is essentially Zombieland versus MCU. Doesn't take itself too seriously and still has enough moments to keep it enjoyable." Yeah, I completely agree. And I think you're right. I think it's a good point with the fact that last episode was so good that anything after it was it's going to struggle. At Foxy Snob said, "This was great. I'm hopelessly in love with animated Bucky." And as I said to that, those eyebrows, like, on fleek. At Fluid Highway, I really enjoyed it. The interaction between characters that we haven't had before was very exciting. Also loved the premise of zombies in MCU, so I was already sold before the app. Interesting. Like I say, I was kind of the same. I'm a zombie guy, so yeah, absolutely. So guys, that is us at the end of another podcast. Another delivery for Tony Stank is in the books. Thank you again for the support. I've had lots of people whenever, there's tweets coming out when people are watching, are listening. I really appreciate it. Keep doing that, please, and keep recommending us to family, friends. It's one of these things that I want to keep doing. I want to keep growing. I've got ideas for it going forward. Things like, obviously there's a couple of movies coming out. So Shang-Chi, I'm going to be doing. It'll probably be the start of October before the Shang-Chi one kind of comes out. Because I'm not going to see it in the cinema until kind of the end of September. But then we'll have in November we have Eternals coming out at the start. We've also got the Hawkeye series coming at the end of November. So there's a bit of time between when my Shang-Chi podcast will come out and the next sort of movie that will come after that. So I'm wanting to actually do an interview or a podcast with you guys, or I've got a couple of folk that I've spoke to that will actually do talking about their favorite Marvel films. So look out for that. I'm very looking forward to it. I've also set up it's called a Ko-fi. I had a look and they pronounce it Ko-fi. I've set up a Ko-fi. So basically, if you sign up for £2 a month, at least £2 a month, you can make it more if you wish. You don't have to. But you'll get entered into a monthly draw I'm going to be doing for prizes. So I've got the first 3 prizes. They are pops. It's pops that are in the What If line of pops. So if you want to get entered into it, join the Ko-fi that I'll put into the description down below. You can find it on our link tree, which you can get on the Twitter at DeliveryMCU. It's all in the bio there. And yeah, basically what I'm going to do is the money that we get from all this is going to go towards more prizes and things like that, and for trying to bring the podcast to the next level. Essentially, that's kind of the idea behind it. But yeah, go into Ko-fi if you want. You don't have to, but if you want to, you can get entered into the monthly draw for the merch. I'm gonna try different merches and stuff as well. And yeah, it's 1 entry per person, and it'll get drawn at the end of the month. So yeah, feel free to go ahead and do that. And yeah, we'll go from there. But guys, thank you again so much for this week's podcast. Again, I apologize for the delay. There's been a few things going on, but next week we should be back to normal, where we should be out by the weekend. And again, talk to me at Delivery MCU. Let me know your thoughts, and yeah, I will catch you all in the next one. Bye bye.